I am Emma Thériault, one of the co-founders of D.A.S Concrete Countertops, along with my husband Yannick. D.A.S Concrete Countertops is a new business, new manufacturing business that we've just launched in Dieppe as of January 2019. And we are in the business of making beautiful, polished, precast concrete countertops for use in kitchens, homes, offices, and any other surface that you can think of. D.A.S stands for durability, affordability, and sustainability, which is really what we're all about. So we're looking to make products, countertops, and other concrete surfaces that will last a lifetime, the lifetime of your house, that are sustainable in terms of the environment. So they're locally made with sustainable ingredients, locally sourced materials, and we are aiming to make them affordable so that they are not an elite product. They're something that people who want to choose sustainable and want to choose beautiful can actually afford them. So we built a house 4 years ago. My husband Yannick is a Finnish carpenter by trade. So he built our house, and when we came to our kitchens, we were really stuck on countertop choices. We didn't want laminate because we know it doesn't last, because we know there are certain chemicals in it that we didn't want in our home. Granite and quartz were out of our price range. We were looking for something sort of mid-range that was environmentally friendly. We've got 3 kids at home, and we're just of that generation that cares about the environment. So we ruled out some other options that were sort of plastic-based, and we really couldn't find anything. So we landed on concrete. We were looking for just a simple concrete slab that we could use in our kitchen that was within our price range, and we couldn't find it. So we started, sort of the idea started turning about bringing this product to market. Our process starts with our mixing. So we've got our planetary concrete mixer up here on the platform, which saves a few backs in terms of scooping the concrete up into the molds. We'd have sort of the concrete and the water and the dye all put in there and mixed up, all calculated according to a recipe. Comes down the chute into a mold, which will be sitting on this table. So this is a vibrating table. It's got a vibrating motor underneath, and we have that table running as the concrete is pouring in there to get most of the air bubbles out of the concrete, which makes for a denser, smoother concrete, easier to work with and a better end product. So after it's finished mixing, there's some reinforcement that would actually go into the concrete as part of that. So we use carbon fiber mesh and carbon fiber or fiberglass rebar to reduce the risk of cracking, which is mainly an issue when we're transporting the slabs. And then after that, so our slabs, this is actually a slab that was poured earlier this morning, is now curing. So it's going to sit here for about 2 days until it gets hard enough for us to start polishing. This plywood on top you see is there to make for an even drying time, so we get a nice flat slab at the end. So the top and the bottom dry at the same speed. And now we're moving over into our polishing station. So as soon as the concrete is hard enough to take out of the mold, which is, like I said, about 2 or 3 days, it comes over onto one of these tables, and we would start by grinding it down, get a nice smooth surface. And essentially it's a back and forth of polish or grind, and then we do something called a slurry, which fills in little holes, the air bubbles that show up in the surface. Grind that down, slurry again, grind until we've got a surface that we're really happy with, which is a nice, smooth, dense surface with the minimum number of air bubbles. And then we're ready to seal our countertops. So over here you see some what will be coffee table tops that have recently been sealed with a beeswax paste. So we use a beeswax paste because it's simple, it's sustainable, all natural, no chemicals, no VOCs or volatile organic compounds. One of the things that we love about beeswax is that it retains the properties of the concrete itself. So you can put hot pots on it, you probably don't want to cut on it because you're going to break your knife, but it's much harder to scratch than like a polyurethane or a kind of a plasticky sealer that you will see on some things. So it does require a bit of maintenance every 3 months, a quick buffing just to maintain it, but it gives it that sort of, it really preserves the look and the characteristics of the concrete itself, which is what we find our customers are looking for. So we polish with water to avoid getting concrete dust into the air, which is hazardous for our workers. And so we don't want to waste all that water. So all that water gets collected. This is our polishing station here. I don't know if you can see these trenches here. So all the water goes into the trenches and gets funneled into a big pit right where I'm standing. When this pit gets full, we filter it through this machine. So you see all these filters here. This machine is just being run, and these filters are now waiting to be cleaned. But the water would get pushed through all those filters, and all of the slurry or the concrete sludge that's in that water gets extracted so that we can dispose of that. And then we've got clean water, which essentially we can reuse again several times for polishing before it becomes sort of unusable. And if we get to that point, then we can put it into the city drains without any risk of polluting the sewer system. This counter here is in its final stages of polishing. It's had a slurry done and polished, and sort of we're just waiting for it to dry off and make sure that it's good to go. And if we're there, then we'll put on the beeswax sealer, and it's ready to be shipped out the door.
Yeah. Wash fingers.
Down your way a little bit, if we can.
Yeah. Can drop it down a little bit.
This way.
We're at Tuck Studio in St. John, and we have just installed one of our very first concrete countertops for Judith Mackin. Judith Mackin is an interior designer here in St. John, who we have heard wonderful, wonderful things about from many, many people. So we reached out to her earlier this summer, dropped off a sample, and she called us up and without hesitation said, "Would you like to do our countertop in our reception?"
So this is actually a 3-year wait on this countertop. When we first opened and expanded Tuck here 3 years ago, that was all part of the original plan. But as things go, you run out of money at the end of your budget, and we just put on this really kind of temporary, cheap look-alike concrete countertop. And I've hated it every single day since. So this is like finally when D.A.S got in touch with us, we were just like, this is our moment.
3, 2, 1.
And here's the finished result, a beautiful concrete countertop from D.A.S Concrete.
I'm so honored that she was putting her trust in us as a new business, and it's hard to describe what an opportunity this is for us. It's a reception desk sitting in a public space in the home decor shop of one of St. John's best interior designers. We couldn't really get a better testimonial than that.
And I was just amazed at every step of the way. They just were details, follow-up, photos, timelines. And what's the end result? It's even better than what I anticipated.
There's a growth in sustainable products on the market, but they tend to be very highly priced, which we understand. They're harder to make. Often they're sort of lower scale. But one of the downsides of having high-priced sustainable products is that they're not so accessible. So you reduce the impact of those products because less people can afford them. So we are really looking for a way to bring concrete countertops, which is at its heart a sustainable alternative to things like granite and quartz and corian and laminate, to the market as something that more people can actually consider as a viable option.